This is part 13 of the Craftsman King Seeley 150 drill press rebuild series. If you haven't seen part 12, click the link at the top of the screen. In this video, we will be assembling the motor. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff and welcome to my shop. We got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is cleaning the motor data panel, and I'm using this Meguiar's cleaner wax. This is what I use to clean all the data panels. You'll notice in the top left corner that is the model number data panel, and it is in very, very rough shape. The 150 headband is in very rough shape as well. So I'm going to actually be replacing both of those, but the motor panel is fine. So we're going to reattach the motor panel with some drive screws. I think these are number 4s and they're 1/4 inch long. You can get drive screws from McMaster-Carr. Next, we're going to be assembling the rotor. So I'm just going to hit the shaft area there with some super slick stuff. And we've got the plastic piece. And it's got these little tabs on the sides. I'll pull it back off here and show you how each one of these governors is supposed to fit in there. See those tabs on the sides? So when you place it on the rotor, make sure you've oriented it so those tabs are facing off to the sides. And I failed to do this initially, but you need to hook those two hooks, I guess, into where they go, where they mate with that plastic tab. And then I've got these little felt washers that are supposed to go between the governor and the bracket. And then this rod goes down through them. The rod's got 2 little cutouts for the springs to hook on, and then it's got another cutout that helps it stay captured inside the mount. It doesn't really matter how you orient it though. But like I said, I failed to hook the governor little hooks into the plastic piece, so I'm going to have to take that back off, lift the governor up a little bit, hook those hooks in there, and then I can reinsert that rod. Now, I don't think the felt washers are critical. I think this switch, if you will still continue to function even if you don't have those little felt washers, but they were originally part of it, so we're reinstalling them. And I'm sure that's just designed so that those governors can swing out freely. Then we hook the springs on there and make sure it's functioning. Good to go. So next we're going to go ahead and install the washers on each end of the rotor. And we'll start with the retaining ring. I have no idea why I put it on the pliers like this, but yeah. You can see the cutout that it needs to drop into. So we'll get it in there. Make sure it's captured in there. Then we have the metal retainer, and the cup needs to be facing outward. It's got a little tab, and that tab just sort of sits next to the holes for the retaining ring. Then you've got a thin rubber washer and then a plastic tool washer or power tool washer. And we're basically going to do the same thing on this side. So we've got the retaining ring, then the retainer, rubber washer, and then the plastic tool washer. So here we are with the terminal end bell or end shield. We're just going to install the terminal bar. That has 2 screws that hold it into the end shield. We've got 2 lead wires. We're just going to push through the opening there. A blue one and a yellow one. And so the blue one is going to go in the number 1 position. You can see the numbers on the terminal bar. And the yellow one is going to go in the number 4 position. And if I remember correctly, if you need to reverse the direction of rotation on the motor, you just switch those 2 wires. You would hook the blue on the number 4 and then the yellow on the number 1. But here we're hooking it up just like it was originally. Blue on number 1. And then the yellow on number 2. Now we are going to come back, and you can see the tab for the blade, or the blade terminal on number 1. It's just to the left of the nut that we're screwing in. And it's not enough room for us to hook the power cord on there. So we're going to take that tab and swing it down so that it's on the bottom side of that nut as we're looking at it. The number 4 one is in a good orientation where it is. So we'll do that a little bit later, but I just wanted to bring that up. Next, I've got a power cord here. This is a 14-3. And what I'm going to do is cut it because it's, I think, 6 foot long, and I don't need that long. I'm going to cut it at about 2.5 feet, 3 feet, somewhere in there. My dikes, these are not sharp at all. I've had these for years. I'm going to set that aside. Now we need to strip back some of the shielding on this and expose the 3 wires. So we're going to kind of eyeball how long we need. It looks like it's about 5 inches, 4 inches, something like that. We'll trim away that shielding. This actually might be a 16-3. I can't remember. It's either a 14-3 or a 16-3. We'll strip the ends of those and attach blade connectors to them, blade terminal connectors, and then a ring connector there, a ring terminal for the ground. And that ring one has shrink tubing on it, or you just heat it up and it shrinks down to the wire. Next, we're going to install Hog Ring on the power cord. This is used to as a wire stress relief so that you can't yank the power cord out of the motor. It'll catch on that Hog Ring once it's installed. They don't really use a whole lot of these days, but obviously back when these drill presses and motors were built, this was the primary method of retaining the power cords inside the motors. So here I'm just reorienting that blade terminal, like I said, for the number 1 position. That's going to be perfect. So now we can attach the power cord. So I'm going to attach the white to the number 4 terminal, the black to the number 1 terminal, and then the ground to the ground screw location. But before we do that, this power cord's a little thicker than the one that was originally on here, so we need to hollow out this this pass through a little bit more. So I've just got a sanding drum on a Dremel, and we're just going to open it up a little bit so that it fits in there a little better. If you want to be real crazy about it, you could retouch up all that with some black paint, but it's going to be covered by the terminal cover, and it's made out of either Zamic or aluminum, so I'm not worried about it rusting, so I don't think we're going to worry about repainting it. Here we're just attaching the ground. And then we're going to put the terminal cover on. It's going to go just like that. So I'm going to need to come back off camera and hollow out a little bit more of that pass-through area there, because it's causing the terminal cover to stick up just a little bit. You'll see it a little later. Now we can go ahead and start with the other end. We'll make sure that there's a rubber washer that needs to go down inside the sleeve bearing, all the way in the base of it. And then we're going to shoot just a little bit of 5W30 on the sleeve bearing itself, the cotton or whatever that material is that's used to absorb it. Then we can drop the rotor in there. Make sure it's going to spin freely. Good enough. Then we can go ahead and put the other end shield on. Squirt a little bit of that 5W30 in there. So the one thing that I didn't do, and I ended up having to come back and adjust this, is I want both of the oiler ports to be oriented in the same direction, and I wasn't thinking about that at the time. So right now all I'm trying to do is line up the holes for the stator studs, those long screws. Then we'll drop them in. And we'll put the nuts on them and tighten them down. And this is where you can see the oil port on the right, but not on the left. So here I'm going to remove all the stator studs and then rotate the that left end shield once I get it off of there, and line up both of those oiler ports and then reassemble it. go. And the rotor should spin freely. Next, we're going to assemble and install the mounting rings. So it's got a metal ring and then a rubber insert. And it's molded to fit right into those keyed positions on the end shields, like so. We'll do that with the other side as well. There we go. So there's an arrow on the frame, and the working end of the motor, the part of the shaft that you're going to attach the pulley to, needs to be facing in that direction. And then we want the oiler ports facing up, as we've got it oriented here. And then we can go ahead and install the clamps and the screws and lock the motor into the frame. Pretty easy. So obviously those mounting rings, the rubber part of them, are supposed to cut down on the amount of vibration that the motor may transfer to the drill press. Then we're just going to go ahead and fill in the sleeve bearings with the 5W30. And then we'll just put the plugs back in. So it's probably best to, once we get the entire drill press assembled, to run this motor for about 20 minutes and then add some more oil. I'm not sure what the amount of oil that's supposed to be in there is, but you're going to need to add more than just those few pumps. So next we're going to test it, and there it is. Make sure it's not energized, and then we'll turn it off and make sure we hear the governor disengage, centrifugal switch. Good to go. And that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. In the next video, we will continue with the assembly. As always, I appreciate the support, and I will see you next time.